This podcast has been brought to you by Seeker's Guidance, the global Islamic seminary. Help us spread the light of prophetic guidance to millions around the world by becoming a monthly supporter. Make a small donation at seekersguidance.org/donate. For as little as $10 a month, you can help people find life-changing guidance.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. This is Faraz Rabbani, welcoming you to the first episode of our short series called Spirituality for Warriors. And this is part of the Seeker's Guidance Spiritual Guidance podcast, in which we look at cultivating our relationship with Allah Most High. And this series is fascinating because we're looking at a work written for warriors. It's a work called Guidance to Creation, to a summation of the rulings of Islam. And this was written by the Mufti of the Shafi'is of Damascus, according to the Hanafi school, as a manual for the Ottoman armies during the time of Sultan Abdul Majid, about 200 years ago. The author, Imam Nuruddin al-Amiri, most famous as Ibn al-Ghazi, died in the year 1277, which is roughly 165 years ago by the Hijri calendar. In this work, he gives a manual of faith and devotion for soldiers. So he begins with what one needs to know about Allah Most High, and then the practical rulings of how to purify oneself and pray and the other integrals in brief. But then he closes the work with 2 chapters, and that's what is of interest to us in this section on spirituality for warriors, because in chapters 7 and 8, he looks at the way of the people who know God, the way of the people who know Allah, and the principles of spirituality. That's chapter 7. And then in chapter 8, with which he closes the book, he talks about the practical path of reaching Allah Most High, and some supplications and transmitted acts of remembrance. So this section is brief. It is barely 10 pages in the modern edition. But it is an amazing summation of Islamic spirituality, but also tells us something about the reality that spirituality is at the very heart and essence of religion. It is not just something for some religious elite or for devotees or people who leave society, but rather it is at the heart of any summation of religion. And that's why all classical manuals of the teachings of Islam have this key element of spirituality, because spirituality is the heart of Islam. So over the next few weeks, we will be looking at this beautiful text, not out of curiosity, although it is very interesting that the Ottoman army had scholars guiding them, and those scholars were taught systematically the teachings of their religion. But not just basic things, okay, pray, do this, do that, and that is very important. But also, there was a systematic cultivation of spirituality. And this is something one finds throughout the prophetic tradition, and the jihad of the prophetic community, the jihad of the companions, was not about worldly aims. It was about seeking Allah and being pleasing to Allah and being embodiments of all it means to be virtuous and good as human beings. So this is really, really fascinating. And the author, Nuruddin al-Amiri, shares an amazing and uplifting summary of these spiritual teachings. And they serve as a reminder for us that we too should strive to be spiritual warriors. Because the Prophet ﷺ tells us the greatest of your enemies is your own lower self that is behind your two sides. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala promises us in Surah Al-Ankabut, وَالَّذِينَ جَاهَدُوا فِينَا, and those who strive for our sake. لَنَهْدِيَنَّهُمْ سُبُلَنَا, we shall surely guide to the pathways leading to us. وَإِنَّ اللَّهَ لَمَعَ الْمُحْسِنِينَ, and indeed Allah is truly with those who strive with excellence. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make us and you of them, and we hope you join us in this journey to understand spirituality for warriors. Walhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen.
Thank you for listening. This podcast was brought to you by Seeker's Guidance, the Global Islamic Seminary. Visit seekersguidance.org to access reliable Islamic knowledge taught by qualified teachers. We offer a wide range of courses, podcasts, articles, and a world-class answer service. Support us in spreading free, reliable Islamic knowledge to millions around the world by becoming a monthly supporter. Visit seekersguidance.org/donate and make a small monthly commitment today. Our beloved Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said, "Whoever guides someone to goodness will have a similar reward." So don't forget to share this podcast and spread prophetic guidance.